You won't believe it, but God in the Holy Bible gave the prophet Ezekiel a recipe using ancient super grains to make an ancient superfood. Essenes, 100 years before Christ, the Essene Supreme Bread. It's still made today if you know where to buy it. It's made of sprouted grain. Sue, tell us about it. I'm going to try some.
Yes, go ahead. Basically, sprouted grain breads are made, as you suggest, from sprouted grains. So it can be any grains like spelt or kamut, for example, but often they even add things like lentils inside or millet. So it's a very wholesome cake. So it's basically the sprouts crafted together in a loaf and looks a bit like a cake. But it contains no flour, usually no additives like sugar or vinegar or milk or preservatives. So it's really good for those people who are looking for more whole grains that are free of these additives.
You know, it's actually very tasty. This one's got dates and walnuts and all sorts of scrumptious things.
That one's perfect for like, you know, a snack food. So if you're looking to replace those biscuits that come out of packets, why not just have some sprouted grain bread with dates and with walnuts? It's really delicious.
Now, sprouts are very nutritious. Tell us why.
They are, because when you sprout any seed, you bring it back to life, you reduce the amount of phytates and various inhibitors like trypsin inhibitor, and that helps release the nutrients better. So it releases the minerals. So you actually get better availability of those nutrients inside
so
your body.
So it's a nutrient-dense bread. It really truly is a superfood.
So everyone's interested at the moment in ancient grains and whole grains, and this is probably the prime example of a superfood amongst the breads category because it is made from whole grains that have been sprouted. Yeah.
Now, it's not overcooked, so the nutrients don't get demolished along the way.
It's not cooked.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the Essenes made it without any formal way of cooking. I believe they used to sort of cook it by putting it on rocks just in the sun.
They were allowed to warm it in the Israeli sun 2,000 years ago. That's the only cooking.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, it's even suitable for people who are on raw food diets, the correct one.
Yeah. No, and just tell us a little bit about how do you use it and how does it work?
So you could use it just like you use ordinary bread, but just a few practical tips. You need a moist, wet knife when you slice it because it's quite sticky, and you can't slice it super thin because it can crumble, but you don't need a lot to be full. The other thing I love about it is it has a long shelf life. So once you buy it, you can keep it in your fridge for 3 months if unopened, and even once you open it, it lasts for several weeks, I found, and you can even freeze it.
Yes,
so it's got a much better shelf life than ordinary bread.
Now, I remember Sue was telling me it's not just the nutrients in this, it actually does wonders for your stomach. Tell us about that.
Well, one area that we're particularly interested in at the moment is the whole gut microflora, the microbiome. So the bugs that live there and the products that they produce. And we know that eating more whole grains is very beneficial in terms of promoting and maintaining the colonies of those beneficial bacteria. So if you eat this kind of food, you're going to promote well-being because that's part of your immune system.
Now, where would you go and buy this? I mean, Prophet Ezekiel bread.
Well, that's right. It's not found everywhere. These particular range of sprouted grain breads are found in health food shops, and you can also buy it online, so you can see a website online. There are some other so-called sprouted grain breads in the supermarkets, but you need to be a bit wary of some of them because they're not true sprouted grain breads. They sometimes have added gluten, added flours, but they're trying to sort of pass under the radar as sprouted grain breads. So, you know, the true sprouted grain bread is one, as we said, just made of sprouted grains that are put together into a cake with no additives, and it can be particularly low in things like sodium.
Yes.
So if you have a look at, say, take the black cake.
Oh, you were going to show off the Prophet Ezekiel bread, weren't you? Ezekiel 4
They're
verse 9.
all really low. How many milligrams of sodium does that have?
Let me read that for you. It says 5 milligrams every 100 grams.
And how does the ordinary white bread from the supermarket compare?
Yes, well, let me get it the right way up.
So 5 milligrams versus
400.
400.
That's 80 times more salt in white bread.
So you can see why this is so much better for your blood pressure, okay? And if you were looking for a bread that's good for your blood pressure, if it's elevated, you should be looking for something that contains 120 milligrams or less. But these are super low.
Yeah, and they taste really nice.
So
I'm going to try this one, Sue.
Yeah, good for your blood pressure. Good for your gut health, good for all kinds of chronic diseases, and just another alternative if you're looking for something really wholesome to add more whole grains.
Folks, you really need to go and search for the ancient superfoods and just enjoy it. To think the recipe came from the whole Bible. Cheers. So nice. It's